Hello, I'm WVEA President Dale Lee, and it is Sunday, January the 3rd. It appears that 2021 will begin much the same way that 2020 ended, with anxiety and angst over COVID-19 and safety in our public schools. Everyone is aware of the governor's statement regarding in-person learning on January the 19th. We are angry over his decision and confused at the blatant disregard for the health and safety of those in our public schools. Now, the pandemic has divided our nation and our state. However, I think that most people can agree on two things. We all want our children back in school, and we believe that every precaution has to be taken to ensure the safety of everyone in those schools. But with the pandemic raging in our state at levels never seen before, it appears that in many of the areas of the state, those two things, full 5-day in-person learning and safety, cannot happen at the same time. The safety of those working and learning in our schools must be the overriding factor for in-person learning to occur. Without all employees receiving both vaccinations and space limitations making it impossible to maintain social distancing in our schools, it is clearly unsafe for most of our schools to open to in-person learning at all, let alone 5 days a week. As a state, we have wrestled over how to maintain a balance between in-person learning and safety since this pandemic started in the spring. We have fought over map manipulation and map colors. We have alternated between remote and in-person learning based on the COVID-19 activity in our counties. Now, it hasn't been perfect for anyone. Students, employees, and parents are all frustrated. While we have had outbreaks in our schools and numerous shutdowns over contact tracing, our school employees have worked tirelessly to keep in touch with students and to continue with the lessons. We are all in this uncharted territory of a pandemic and managing as best we can. Our school employees are worried about the well-being and the education of their students, but they are also concerned about their own health and the health of their own families. The governor's announcement last week took everyone by surprise and is frankly simply reckless. He has manipulated the map from day one in order to facilitate getting students back into the classroom, but the pandemic has not cooperated. And now that COVID-19 is raging at levels never seen in our state and in our nation, his decision is to scrap everything in order to put students back into school 5 days a week, and it just doesn't make sense. It is irresponsible and has the potential to cause irreparable harm to those in our public schools and throughout our state. We believe decisions about the ability to hold in-person classes is best made at the local level. Clearly, county boards of education, and not the governor, have the authority over their individual school systems. That authority includes the decision to open for in-person classes and use some other model. We've been in contact with our local leaders. Our locals have been holding conversations with their local leaders and elected officials, and we have been having discussions with our state leaders and policymakers. Decision makers in your county, your legislators, the governor, and the Department of Education also need to hear from each of you. Also, keep an eye out for an email coming from us on Monday afternoon with some questions about the governor's statement. The safety of everyone in our schools should be the overriding factor in making the decisions about learning. We are working with our local leaders and state policymakers to ensure that safety remains the most important factor in the decisions from our state leaders. Now, remote learning is in place in all counties for the next 2 weeks. We will continue holding conversations with policymakers this week, and we will be updating you later on. Now, I know you have exhausted yourself doing all that you can for your students and taking care of your own families. This has been hard on everyone, but contrary to what the state superintendent and the governor have said, our educators are working hard and are providing quality educational opportunities for our students. We all want to be back in our classrooms with our students, but only when it's safe. Hang in there, stay safe, and I will be back in touch with you soon. Thank you for all that you do.